Sunday school continues. Now we are in Exodus chapter 2. So in Exodus chapter 2, we're going to come across in this decree that the king of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, has passed that they should put to death every male child born to the Hebrew people. It was in this time Moses was born. We're going to read through this chapter 2 and see how Moses managed to survive that. Now, a man of the house of Levi married to a Levite woman, and she became pregnant and gave birth to a son. When she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him for 3 months. But when she could hide him no longer, she got a papyrus basket for him and coated it with tar and pitch. Then she placed the child in it and put it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile. His sister stood at a distance to see what would happen to him. So you see, it was during this difficult time Moses was giving birth to. And the tribe of the Israelites, the Levites, are priests. It is from that family line they get all their priests. So it was through this family line Moses was born. And it was in this difficult time that this new Pharaoh has passed that decree that they should not let any male child born to the Hebrew women survive. So Moses' mother kept him in hiding for 3 months. Nobody knew she had a baby boy for 3 months. And when she found out she could no longer hide him, because every day the boy is growing older, he can cry louder, next neighbor can hear him. So he was, mom and the son were already in danger. So she decided to come up with an idea. Get a basket. She really covered the inner part with a tar and a pitch, just to take him by the riverside, where the princess of Pharaoh will come to take her bath every day together with her mates. So let's read along and see what will happen to Moses. Then Pharaoh's daughter went down to the Nile to bathe, and her attendants were walking along the river bank. She saw the basket among the reeds and sent her slave girl to get it. She opened it and saw the baby. He was crying. As she felt sorry for him, "This is one of the Hebrew babies," she said. So you see, the princess immediately concluded this boy must be from one of the Hebrew people, because the Egyptians, it's their land, they are free, they can't come and hide their son at the river side. So in verse 7, then his sister asked Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you?" Meanwhile, when this boy was brought in this basket by the riverbank, it was the elder sister Miriam and her mom planned that Miriam will stand at a distance and be watching to see what will happen to baby Moses. So immediately the princess found this baby Moses in the basket. Miriam appeared as if she was passing by and saw what was going on. And then she volunteered to look for somebody that will take good care of this boy. All this was planned together with Miriam and her mom. So the princess agreed, and Miriam ran and called their mother to come. So when the mom arrived, the princess is going to give her orders to take care of the boy for her, because she was going to raise this boy for the princess. That means Moses has the freedom to survive, to live, to be cared for without being harassed or put to death. So let's continue in verse 8. "Yes, go," she answered, and the girl went and got the baby's mother. Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Take this baby and nurse him for me, and I will pay you." So the woman took the baby and nursed him. When the child grew older, she took him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moses, saying, "I drew him out of the water." So you see, all this time it was the princess that named Moses, gave him that name Moses. It is not recorded, we didn't learn that in this chapter, that the family of Moses named him. But when he grew older, the mom brought him back to the princess. That was when the princess named him Moses in their Egyptian language or whatever language, meaning I drew him out of water. So in verse 11, one day after Moses had grown up, he went out to where his own people were and watched them at their hard labor. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his own people. Glancing this way and that and seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. The next day he went out and saw two Hebrews fighting. He asked the one in the wrong, "Why are you hitting your fellow Hebrew?" The man said, "Who made you ruler and judge over us? Are you thinking of taking my life as you took the life of the Egyptian?" Then Moses was afraid and thought, "What I did must have become known." When Pharaoh heard of this, he tried to do away with Moses. But Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in Midian, where he sat down by a well. So, look at what is going on. Moses was raised in the palace of Pharaoh, the Egyptian king. But when he grew up, he knew he was a Hebrew. And one day he went out for a walk. He met an Egyptian and a Hebrew person walking. And the Egyptian was really overpowered the Israelite, the Hebrew person. And he looked left, looked right, he couldn't see anybody. He just do away with the Egyptian and fled. He went back. The other day he went out to look at the hard labor these Hebrew people are going through. And he met, this time around, the two Hebrew people were the ones fighting. And Moses has to interrupt them and say, "Why are you guys fighting each other? The two of you are brothers. Why are you taking advantage of your brother?" And the man responded, "Who made you judge over us? Do you want to do away with me as you did to the Egyptian?" And that was how Moses knew the news had spread. The king heard about it and he wanted to do away with Moses. And Moses fled. He ran away to another city. So in verse In verse 14, the man said, "Who made you ruler and judge over us? Are you thinking of doing away with me as you did to the Egyptian?" Then Moses was afraid and thought, "What I did must have become known." When Pharaoh heard of this, he tried to do away with Moses. But Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in Midian, where he sat down by a well. Now a priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came to draw water and fill the troughs to water their father's flock. Some shepherds came along and drove them away, but Moses got up and came to their rescue and watered their flock. When the girls returned to Reuel, their father, he asked them, "Why have you returned so early today?" They answered, "An Egyptian rescued us from the shepherds. He even drew water for us and watered the flock." "And where is he?" he asked his daughters. "Why did you leave him? Invite him to have something to eat." Moses agreed to stay with the man who gave his daughter Zipporah to Moses in marriage. Zipporah gave birth to a son, and Moses named him Gershom, saying, I have become an alien in a foreign land. So in verse 23, during that long period, the king of Egypt passed away. The Israelites groaned in their slavery and cried out, and their cry for help because of their slavery went up to God. God heard their groaning, and he remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. So God looked on the Israelites and was concerned about them. So that was how Moses fled Egypt, and he went to this other country, and he sat by a well. When the daughters of the wife he married came to water their animals, the shepherds came to victimize them. He was the one that rescued them and helped them. And when they arrived early, their dad was surprised. Why you guys came so early today? What's going on? They explained the story to him. And he said, why didn't you act? They in fact thought Moses was an Egyptian. Maybe he was speaking the Egyptian language, but they thought he was an Egyptian. And that was the report they gave their dad. Now an Egyptian guy was by the well and he helped us, to water the animals, and he even rescued us from the other shepherds. So then the dad said, oh, well, you should have invited him to come have food. And that was how Moses was invited to the house of this man. And he gave him one of his daughters into marriage. And the first son they got, he named him Gershom, meaning he has been a foreigner in a foreign land. That was what the name meant. So, and in this period, the other pharaoh that came to power passed away. But the Israelites still were in slavery, in bondage. They were crying to their God. And finally, God heard their cry and decided to rescue them. Because God remembered always Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, their forefathers, because of the covenants he made with them. So he decided to come to their rescue. But we will get that information in the next chapter and in the next video. Thank you.